I've gone through a lot of trials on what to do when documenting the best games of the current year. In the first years of the channel, I didn't even do a game of the year. I covered all the games that I streamed, whether it was released that year or the previous years. Last year, I did the usual top 20 in two separate videos, with an additional video with my 10 favorites that were under $5. This year, I wanted to go in a different direction. Yes, I wanted to give my top 20 like before, and like 2024, I'm not going to be ranking them, but feature them in alphabetical order. But this time, I have a fun theme I plan to go off of. If you may have noticed, the thumbnail is a riff on retro yearbooks. With that, I've decided to give the class 2025 individual superlatives. Yearbooks used to have things like these, like best hair, most athletic, most likely to wear flip-flops in the snow, or biggest drama king as examples. 2025 has been a dominant year for indie games. Even when looking at the 2025 Game Awards, half of the nominees for Game of the Year are indie games, and the day after, officially the game that won Game of the Year and nearly swept all of the awards it was nominated for is considered by some, myself included, an indie game. I've been working on a fun list of superlatives as the final 20 games have changed throughout the year, and it's changed a lot. If you watch my video from halfway through the year, less than half of those games made the cut. The second half has had so many good games, and as I've played more games from this half, my thumbnail design has changed so many times. You'll be seeing my honorable mentions in a video that comes out maybe in January. It's better to have the main rankings out before the honorable mentions, and instead of a video for my top 10 and the following 10 in my honorable mentions, you'll be getting my top 20 here in one video. It looks like a basic platformer for two really turns itself on its head when you say it's just for one player. You think that completing the levels that come up on the screen would be a walk in the park when ambidextro, but it is so difficult to see both characters and do what is needed to complete a level at the same time. Major Yato is a publisher that people should keep their eye on. I've explored cool topics of theirs with simple controls like Perea and Pineapple on Pizza. I've had Shipped and Major Tori in my library for years to play, but ambidextro may be their best with what seems like a basic idea. Ball X Pit truly is something. It takes the core foundation of Breakout, makes it like the slaying of monsters from Vampire Survivors, and creates more activity where aiming is required, then gives you more engaging city management like Loop Hero. All in all, the game is a masterpiece of what you need to do to keep players engaged. Huge props to the amount of content in the game already. It has 16 characters in 8 different levels from the get-go. Kenny, his friends, and Devolver just announced 3 brand new updates that are expected for next year and totally free. The method of keeping players hooked in roguelites is giving them more content so they don't tap out. The first hours of Expedition 33 really hooks you. The idea of the Paintress ending the lives of a certain age of people, making the expeditions that more impactful, and the small detail of orphans being more common is so unique. You get invested in the story and the journey of Gustav and Maele, but then the opening of Chapter 1 is just shocking. What happens to the members of Expedition 33 is not what I expected at all. Gustav being pressed to end his own life that early in the story feels understandable, seeing that his mission looked hopeless. Plus, along with the story, the gameplay feels unique for a JRPG and the visuals are top-notch. I 100% understand why this game won Game of the Year, and it was in my final 3 picks for Best in Class.
is flowing.
Hello. I was so focused on saying hello that I didn't even know what button to hit for dodging. With the key statement said in the game is, "Let's go gambling," this one seemed like an obvious winner for Clover Pit. The game is all about taking a traditional slots machine, modifying payouts and symbol frequency instead of doing deck building like you do in Luck Be a Lamb. What helps Clover Pit is the atmosphere. You're trapped with your slot machine, fighting for your life. When you complete a payout, you get a phone call like you're a prisoner, and it leans into that idea of being in a cell, and even giving you an optional toilet to use right beside the shop. Deltarune is easily the funniest game of the year. Leaning into the superlatives though, it stands out not because of the individual actions the players do, but the cast of characters and writing. Susie's interactions with Chris and Rossai are both hilarious and heartwarming. Lancer acting like he's a part of the party while also being the villain, the Queen's choice in dialogue, and the way the returning characters from Undertale behave, like Undyne being the head of the police. All in all, there are very few times where I wasn't laughing when I'm playing Deltarune. And when I wasn't, I had that warm feeling inside as the trio grows as both people and friends. And finally protecting the jail. Oh, we're still behind bars for some reason, but it's okay. We're going to love this hellish place where we dress up as animals. I was already big on Ivy Sly. They made the hit Your Only Move is Hustle, a game that I was addicted to in the early days of my channel. But Evil Egg released in October. I expected it to be affordable when I demoed it for my second Demos with Dr. St. Clair video. But not free, this feels like a game that would cause arcade goers in the 80s to beg their parents for a quarter. The game is a lot of fun, even with the epilepsy triggering visuals. Sorry for those that gets headaches. When it comes to multiplayer games, this year was full of good ones. But when it comes to laughs, A Gentleman's Dispute is hard to top. A round of well-dressed men bound around an arena with the intent of taking one another out. On top of the premise, the absurdity grows because at the end of the round is a free-for-all dart for available perks or abilities. And after you grab something, if it is available to be drafted in future rounds, you can take it again and it stacks, creating outlandish situations. In one of our plays, a friend had the ability where he shot 2 cannonballs off one fire, and when he shot, he got to shoot again immediately after. He stacked the immediate fire ability so many times he was making 8 shots at a time. That instance alone got it to win a place among my favorite.
Oh, the Honda got you, Abe!
Oh, I'm dead. I landed.
The Honda killed him!
Oh no!
Look at all the
We're
traps.
playing with a whole bunch of random people.
And I got
What?
hit by a
Oh.
car. No!
No,
You're
no,
stuck
no,
in
no.
More trap!
Help, I'm jumping at you too!
I can't get out!
Dude,
Alright.
you lost so much there.
When I did my gaming journal for Q2 of this year, I said that Hades 2 would have made my top 10 of last year. And now, since getting its 1.0 release, it had made it onto my most played Steam games. The original is one of my favorite games of all time. While I may prefer the original, I see the argument for 2 being others' personal favorites. The story is better with Zagreus, but the amount of content is much higher in 2. Nearly double the amount of the first has. Supergiant is one of the best developers out there and one of my favorites. I plan to play more of Pyre next year to celebrate the year they had, but Hades 2 is my pick for best in class. I could have easily given Silksong the most anticipated game of 2025. People have waited for it for years, and no one expected it to drop out of nowhere. I settled on Most Athletic because of its difficulty. When I first got to streaming it in October, and hearing the criticisms of it being so difficult, I wasn't understanding it. As I got more hours in, I realized that navigating from one area to another wasn't as simple as the original Hollow Knight. And it wasn't unfair. What it requires is execution, which is why I dubbed it Most Athletic. With that, the visuals are stunning, and knowing the lore of the universe, you have a compelling setting. Sometimes a game doesn't need to be complex and have detailed graphics to be good. Is This Seat Taken is a fun puzzle game that you play with virtually no stress. Well, at least from the players. The in-game characters can stress if you put them in a chair that they aren't comfortable in because of those and what's around them. But it is one that you can enjoy at your own pace with a fun appreciation. I particularly love the colors of the world, soft tans and greens being the prominent choice. I call Kingdoms of the Dump out of place because it 100% feels like it should have been released in the SNES when I was a child. Music feels like a riff on Final Fantasy. When navigating the overworld, it uses Mode 7 graphics. There's even an airship. What it does that makes it unique is its IRL background, the in-game setting, and a bit about the gameplay. For starters, the fact that the game was made by real janitors is so cool. And the fact that they made their game all about garbage is so touching to the pride that they have in their profession. Where the game is different in gameplay is that fights are done in a grid, like a mix of turn-based games and tactical RPGs. But if you stand in items in a particular space, you are inflicted with a debuff. This is instead of the debuff sitting on you for a set amount of time or use of a potion. Now, all this with the amount of trash puns makes the adventures of Dustin Bidsley so fun. Nice. Last Train Out of Werntown exemplifies that this year was not a year only of indie games, but of multiplayer games. This is a game that provides laughs through its premise and gameplay. It is super fun, with being a giant worm that buries underground to eat cowboys unique from others. They call them partners. And its biggest plus, in my opinion, is its use of Steam's Friend Pass feature. The fact that you can play with 16 players online and only one person needs to own the game is selfless for the developer and a great way to get more people to play the game. I commend Get Color Games for making that a feature. Anthony? bud. Oh my god. Now I'm dead. I give Maze Mice the smoothest move because of its gameplay. Time in the game does not advance unless the player makes a move. This creates situations where you can be risky and either get some of the extra XP laying around or sneak past a mouse that would hit you in a fraction of a second. Maze Mice takes the bullet heaven genre and makes it so different by seeking inspiration from Pac-Man. Not the only game this year, see Ball X Pit, but certainly a good one. I will try out all the games from Trampoline Tales. The easiest elevator pitch for Mega Bonk is Vampire Survivors but 3D. And that's not a bad thing. It has auto attacks like Survivors, even the chests animate just like they do in the Bullet Heaven Pioneer. What Mega Bonk does differently is through its third dimension. It has slopes to navigate and using the slide button can gather speed down them. Calcium even uses them to his advantage, in that he deals more damage the faster he is moving. I nearly kept it off of my list due to it lacking originality, but the core formula is so good and Mega Bonk expands on it. It even had it running for the next award I'll give, the most likely to break. Nubby's Number Factory is a simple roguelite. You drop balls in a vertical scenario like Plinko. The ball bounces around, hitting numbers to get you points. But where it can potentially break is through the items and perks. The game literally tells you when you break it. And by breaking it, your score can go on for an infinite amount of time. About 5 to 10% of runs you will score to where it breaks. It plays into the tone of the game. It is not a serious game at all, and I love it for that. It matches the visuals, which I liken to the edutainment games of the 90s. If you remember them, you see what I'm talking about. I seriously considered Peak for best in class. The moments this produced this year was top notch. Watching a hanging bridge collapse from our weight,
really? Of course.
being knocked down time and time again by a frisbee, the first time seeing the Scoutmaster, all have been such standout moments, even with us being terrible at the game. That's without getting into what makes it so good. But the time with friends is what makes the game stand out even more. Closely aligned with that is the small gameplay feature that adds to the camaraderie, the helping hand. Your teammate need a little help getting to the top, you reach out and grab their hand. It's a top tier game from a top tier developer. I was like,
I'm up here. I don't know if you guys can see me.
oh, got some winter berries up in the tree. Oh gosh, oh no.
Oh, nice.
Where we at? Oh, there you are.
Oh, this
Hey,
tree is working.
is
Get
it-
behind a tree.
Caleb, where you at?
I'm safe. Good.
Okay. This was a tough choice between Rift of the Necrodancer and Expedition 33 for the best music. But two things helped Rift. For starters, it had collaborations from a number of other games. Pizza Tower, Celeste, Everhood, and Friday Night Funkin' for starters. Seeing that Brace Yourself Games made Cadence of Hyrule, it would not surprise me if it does Switch exclusive Zelda DLC. The other thing that makes it stand out is it is my only music-based game, and it does something unique by pairing the nose-scrolling mechanisms of Guitar Heroes with the game, and it does something unique by pairing the nose-scrolling mechanisms of Guitar Hero and DDR with the enemies of the original Necrodancer game. It became not just a game of memorization and reaction, but also knowledge checks.
In the zone.
When I say an online 4v4 competitive multiplayer coin flipping game, most would imagine a game like Rogue with bare bone graphics. But when you see this level of detail, numbers going into billions, and a full screen of customization like you'd see for a AAA game's multiplayer, even an inbox for messages from automated players, and you think, what the heck is all this? Why does it have this much detail? The satire is a very prominent part of Queue Up. You have a terms and condition menu that literally tells you it means nothing. And while the parody aspects are funny, the game is actually fun. Imagine a numbers go up incremental game but versus, and has a ranked mode that is entirely random. I lost a match off of 3 wrong coin flips and dropped over 15 ranks, which is hilarious. It is well worth your time to play. When I'm going up to play Queue Up, I tell my wife I'm gonna go flip coins and she knows. What makes Stick It to the Stickman so chill is that it doesn't have crazy inputs like a fighting game. It is an action game where you're programming the order which attacks are done in what order. To execute that sequence, you hit one button and the next available move is triggered. It is a good time that allows you to feel powerful with little effort put in. The game has a number of ways you can play through different floors in a skyscraper, running through a factory, or making a short move list to go head to head with another person like a boxing match. And more is to come as we are only 6 months into its early access release. You would think that Windswept would also be in the out of place superlatives running, but it has some modern conveniences that Kingdoms of the Dump doesn't. And that isn't to put down the JRPG, but true retro platformers have archaic design choices. Lives and game over screens aren't needed anymore. We don't live in the era where quarter consumption isn't a required aspect to be a part of the development to make a profit. Windswept doesn't have either of those things. It very much feels inspired by the Donkey Kong Country series of the SNES. Marbles and checkers have different abilities that make each better for different scenarios. It has companions you can ride on to navigate levels in different ways. Every level has loads of secrets, like hidden level areas and coins. You can spend those things on special collectibles, and the game does not hold your hand. The game gets quite difficult as you search for those secrets. That I appreciate. It can be an easy to finish a level, but to get everything you're pushed to the limit of execution.